welcome to this very special edition of the Face Report, reporting live at this year's 2024 Charlie Parker Jazz Festival here at Tompkins Square Park here in New York City. The festival kicked off this year in full swing, and one of the headlining acts on opening night at Marcus Garvey Park in Harlem is 8-time Grammy Award-winning bassist Christian McBride. Now, as you guys might know, Mr. McBride has about 4 different music ensembles, but he's closing out Friday night with his big band, and he never really gets to play too much with his big band. Tonight we had a chance to sit down and break bread and talk about how he's won Grammys for all 3 of his big band projects, as well as reflect on a very dear friend to the jazz community who joined the ancestors, guitarist Russell Malone. We also sit down and talk about the importance of the big band and how it's very important to Black American music. So sit back, relax, and enjoy highlights of Christian McBride and his big band live at Marcus Garvey Park in Harlem, here on the Pace Report, here in New York City. In the words of the great Don Cornelius, every time I see you, it's a stone cold gas. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. Always great to see you, partner.
You too. Thank you for sitting down. Tell my viewers, how was Newport this year?
Newport was wonderful. It was smooth. I'm happy to say there were no hiccups, no splinters, smooth sailing. Everybody showed up, did a fantastic job. We were sold out all 3 days in advance for the first time since 1969.
Wow, wow, wow. You know, tonight you're playing with the big band, and the Pace Report has interviewed you with New John, your trio, and now we're talking about a part of Black American music that I think is kind of coming back, but at the same time it's very important, the big band. Every recording that you've made with your big band has gotten a Grammy.
Yeah, we're 3 for 3. You know, I'm happy about that, but I'm more happy that we get to play tonight, because I don't get to play with my big band very often. I mean, I think this is only our second or third gig in 2 years.
Wow.
And we just, we're about to go into the studio next month to finish up a recording that we started 2 years ago. It's going to be 13 songs, 13 singers. And yes, I'm crazy.
No, you're not. You know, I read something very interesting. Your nucleus and your focus and your muse is Art Blakey's jazz messages. Yes. You write those components.
That's one of them. Yeah, I mean, like you know, when I first started getting into this music, that Art Blakey sound, that Art Blakey feel, that's deep in me. And that was, I think that was James Brown's favorite drummer as well, favorite jazz drummer.
Wow. So
that makes perfect sense.
Right.
You know, the Godfather of Soul, loving that earth-shattering groove of Art Blakey.
Right, right, right. What is it about Art Blakey and the messages that, when you're writing the music and composing, what was it, or what is it that inspires you?
I think the fact that Art Blakey's band literally was a compact big band. Even though it was a quintet, it was a sextet, a septet at certain points, he always played as if he were playing behind an 18-piece big band. That's that Billy Eckstine training.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I think the way that he allowed his musicians to write for the band, because even, and that's another great thing, like, even though Art Blakey was a traditionalist in the sense that you're going to swing, and you're going to swing in a way that people can understand it, he demanded that they play new music all the time, bring new stuff. Like, it's amazing. I actually wrote a little short blog about Art Blakey. It was regarding the music to the musical Golden Boy. They did an all-star record, and with Freddie Hubbard and Lee Morgan, Julius Watkins, the rhythm section, Cedar Walton, Reggie Workman, Art Blakey, James Spaulding, all these people. And I thought between 1961 and 1964, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers recorded 8 albums. Wow. And on those 8 albums is pretty much all original material. How did they rehearse all that to the point where they could memorize it, record it, go on the road, play it, just in time for Art Blakey to say, okay, that's enough, I need some new music. You know, so like, I'm deeply inspired by that. I wish someone had forced me to be more prolific, to write more, you know, like, I don't care what you come up with, just write something, you know. Chick tried, but I was too intimidated.
Give me a bright light. metropolis called Edmonton, Alberta, and Canada. Well, yes, it is a city where there are more deer and elk than people. So when I hopped across the border and moved to New York City, you know what I thought? I said, Harlem, 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 yeah, yeah, no everything. You know, it was our town, was our town. Chicago was last night's town. Almost history. Oh, but it's New York, 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 New York. Oh, they hate twice. Plus it's awfully nice. City.
Now, the thing that you brought up about Art Blakey, you also liked Quincy Jones and Lalo Schifrin also.
Yes.
And it wasn't their film scores, it was the television scores that you peeped out on that.
Yeah, you know, Quincy Jones is, the more you look into his work, the more awe-inspired you have to be. I mean, the man did everything. You know, everything from movies to television to big band to different MD gigs. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And Lalo Schifrin, although I feel maybe his legacy is not nearly as talked about or as understood as well as Quincy's, because he didn't have like the big huge pop hits like Quincy, although he did have Mission Impossible, Can't Get No Bigger Than That. Lalo was somebody I spent a lot of time with. You know, I went on the road with him when he was doing his Jazz Meets the Symphony projects, and I would be in his ear all the time, like, you know, Lalo, when that section in the in letter D, and you got that little flute interlude right there, like, show me how you came up with that. And he was always more than happy to show me any of his orchestrating techniques. We go to the piano and he showed me stuff, and you know, and I've always loved him as a writer and as a composer, and the fact that he's always been so open and giving with his information.
And from my understanding, he was also a prolific symphonic composer as well.
Exactly. Well, his father was a legendary composer as well, and I think you know, he got a lot of that from his father. And like I said, when I played with Lalo, it was his Jazz Meets the Symphony projects, and that was for full symphony. So it was jazz rhythm section, sometimes it was jazz quintet, and a full symphony.
What about some of the great composers? Like, I've noticed that there were some bassists that had big bands. Charlie Mingus, Jaco Pastorius.
That's right, Dave Howard.
Yeah, Dave Howard.
Charlie Hayden.
Right.
Yeah.
But there was also the big bands that were centered around the musicians. Ellington.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Gil Evans. How similar and how different are those type of composers and band leaders?
I think we still have a lot of that today. I think of someone like Maria Schneider, who is more of a composer. Like her bands center around all of the great things that she composes. Same thing with someone like Stephen Feifke. You know, then you have the Jazz and Lincoln Center Orchestra. You got a lot of great soloists in that band, you know, but it has a dual role, because, you know, they make you dance as well, but they're the repertory band mostly, but they also compose. The Roy Hargrove big band. I actually think my big band would probably be closest in spirit to Roy's big band, or maybe the Clayton Hamilton Jazz Orchestra, you know. But more so Roy, because we like to play funk as well.
Right. But see, the thing about big band too, now you're gonna trip when I tell you this. My grandfather exposed me to jazz by way of Duke Ellington and Count Basie and Stan Kenton.
Right.
He taught me through them to listen to the soloists. How do you prepare your soloist? Who do you write for when you're composing?
I don't know if I have a particular method in writing for who the soloist is. I tend to just start writing, and generally when you write, it comes to you like, okay, Ron Blake would be good for this one, or Freddie Hendrix would be good for this one, or maybe trombone, whatever it is. I think the only person I've ever written for specifically is Ron Blake. Because Ron has been my man for a very, very long time. He's played in pretty much every band I've ever had since the late 90s. And he was the best man at my wedding, you know. In fact, Ron is partially responsible, a big reason why I'm married to Melissa. So Ron is my dude.
I interviewed Ron earlier this year. You know, we talked about his long-awaited record. He's a cat that, you know, he's been boggled down with Saturday Night Live and other things, but you're right, he's an unsung cat.
Yes, he is.
In the New York music scene.
That's right.
Michelle produced that last, not his current record, but the last record he did.
That's correct. Yeah, yeah.
Close my eyes. To everyone but you. When I do, I will see you standing there. I will open my heart to any other chorus, because I'll never say yes to a new love affair. Close my eyes to everything that's gay. When you're not there to see these lovely days. Oh, and through the years, those lonely nights that will come, I'll close my eyes. Oh,
playing with the big band, what's the most important thing that you get out of it?
I really love writing and I love orchestrating, and I get to work that out. But also, as you well know, we're R&B kids, we're R&B soul kids, so there's a certain level of showmanship and making people feel the music that is visceral with the big band. You know, once you get into that groove, be it swing, be it funk, be it a Latin groove, whatever it is, I think people feel that a lot easier with the big band. So I get to blend the showmanship, the groove, the writing. I got my favorite soloist inside the band, you know, so I got like a little bit of everything in the big band.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I watched the A&E documentary earlier this year, and you're in it. And I wanted to talk about Ray Charles and James Brown because they were the soul music as Duke Ellington, Strayhorn, or Count Basie was to jazz.
Yes, indeed.
But what made Ray Charles so different was that he came from the jazz and rhythm and blues thing and he flipped it. The country western record to the stuff he did in the Atlantic record stuff in the 50s.
Man, listen, Ray Charles is so great of an innovator. I don't think you can talk about him enough. You know, like growing up, I knew how great Ray Charles was. I mean, just as a singer and as a pianist, but the deeper you go into his legacy, the deeper you go into his music, you realize what a great writer he was, what a great composer, what a great producer he was, what a great visionary he was, in that he knew how to make his band members stars, Fathead Newman and Hank Crawford, and therefore making his entire unit more popular. And James Brown took that same template, because when you talk to guys like Maceo Parker, Fred Wesley, Pee Wee Ellis, rest his soul, they all worshipped Ray Charles.
Yeah.
So they were all like, hey, you know, Ray Charles was the guy that we all were listening to.
Right.
And I think James Brown took a lot from Ray Charles's playbook.
Do you think that James Brown, because I saw him on my 32nd birthday in Detroit, and half the show he played the B3.
Yeah, he always wanted to be Jimmy Smith.
He sure did.
So bad.
Do you think that overshadows the legacy of the songs and his band members?
What, his organ solos?
Yeah. Because he did a couple of organ records, which were kind of lukewarm.
Right. You know, Fred Wesley said something I thought that was so profound. He said, James Brown played just enough organ to fool the untrained ear. And so for that, I think people who may not know how great Jimmy Smith was, they might not know how great Jack McDuff was, or even Ray Charles as an organist. They'll hear or Count Basie or Milt Buckner, you know, or Trudy Pitts or somebody like that. They may hear James Brown and think it's just soulful enough that, oh yeah, he can play the organ. I don't think it undermines or overshadows any of those good records. Personally, I think some of those organ solos, what's the word? They bring great flavor to certain songs. Would I put him in a duel with any great jazz organ player? No,
you can't. You can't. You know. Now, when we talk about James Brown as a band leader, I remember reading Fred Wesley's autobiography.
Great book.
It is. And the one thing that I've always said about Mr. Wesley is that he brought a swag to not only those movie scores that he did with James Brown, but he also brought some swag to the Parliament Funkadelic stuff too. Why do you think that now we're starting to now acknowledge Mr. Wesley for what he's worth?
I think people in the business surely know how legendary and how indispensable he's been to the music. And I mean, even while he was with James Brown in the late 60s and through the 70s, all those cats in Count Basie's band knew how great he was. All the jazz cats knew how great he was. In fact, you know, Fred Wesley says in his book, as you well know, he originally wanted to come to New York and play with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messages. And he would have replaced, by the time he came to New York, I guess Slide Hampton would have been the trombone player. He would have came into that band and killed it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those great what if stories. But
well,
I mean,
I want to put something in the air.
Yeah.
As great as a producer, it's time for you to kind of, and I told Freddie Hendrix backstage, it's time to saran wrap our elders, man. I think he needs to produce one of his records.
As you all know, you know, we have such a really good vibe going on, but today has been a very difficult day.
Yeah.
As we are grieving the loss of our dear friend Russell Malone, who passed away earlier this morning.
Yeah.
And it's still a great shock to everyone. And to think that me, Russell, Mark Whitfield, Roy Hargrove, Joey DeFrancesco, Greg Hutchinson, Benny Green, you know, we all kind of came up on the scene together. I mean, Benny was there before us, but, you know, we thought of ourselves as like a family, a unit, you know?
Right.
And saying goodbye to yet another friend who was a master, by the way. You don't have to be in your 80s to be a master,
right.
You know? Russell was a master. I believe you're right. We do need to start taking bubble wrap and going around to everybody. You know?
I think you should produce the next Fred Wesley record.
Bro, that would be the ultimate dream.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
You know, Fred played with me in Newport.
Yeah,
And you know, I just love that man so much because you heard me tell that story. I came this close to actually playing trombone because of Fred Wesley.
Wow.
By age 11, I was already a huge James Brown fan, and I loved all of those great trombone solos that Fred took. I was like, I want to play a trombone like Fred.
Right.
And I was no good, and the brass instructor was like, you know, you should play something else. And so that's why I started playing the bass, you know. But Fred Wesley is he's the reason why I almost played the trombone but wound up playing the bass. He's still my man, always. And to produce a record of his would be a great honor.
I'm just putting it out there, man, because you know, there's only a handful of the James Brown members that are left.
Yeah.
And Mr. Wesley and Mr. Parker, they deserve their roses now.
Well, you know, Maceo, he's not really playing anymore, but he still is with us. So let's take a bus. All the people that love him, let's go to Kinston, North Carolina, and go find him and give him his love.
The next phase of composing and writing for you.
Yeah.
What are you doing to tighten your skills? Because you're a very busy man. You're a curator of jazz festivals. You're now, you lead 4 different bands. How do you focus on the writing part?
It's difficult. I mean, it's only difficult because I have not forced myself to develop the discipline to do what I saw Chick Corea do. You know, like we would be on the road and this cat would be writing new music almost every day. I watched Pat Metheny do that. You know, like people who just have that ability to say, okay, look, whatever they play, I gotta write something, even if it's not that good, just to get into the process of writing. For me, writing is painful. I gotta take my time and sit at the piano at 2 o'clock in the morning. The phone's not ringing, no text messages coming through. It's quiet, I can concentrate, and that's when I get my best work done. But that doesn't work well for a marriage, staying up at 2 o'clock in the morning writing music.
Speaking of which,
yeah,
tell my viewers, couple of weeks, the finale of the Montclair Jazz Festival.
Absolutely.
Tell everybody who is supposed to headline. I know you're DJing, I know you're performing as well. Tell everybody who's going to be this week.
I am so excited. It's going to be in well, is this going to be out before?
We're going to put it out. This is going to be out in the next couple of days.
I'll bet. Okay. Saturday, September 13th, all y'all come out. I'm sorry, 14th. Saturday, September 14th, you make sure you come to downtown Montclair for this year's Montclair Jazz Festival. I'm excited. We got the Jazz House Big Band. We got the great Steve Touré. We have the one and only Mr. Kenny Garrett. We have my quintet Inside Straight. And we have the one and only Lisa Fisher and her group Grand Baton. And DJ Brother Mister will also be making an appearance. That's me. And also DJ Hakeem, who is the son of Robert Cool Bell.
That's right. So it's all day. Tell everybody the website where they get the information.
Yeah, you can go to you can go to 2 websites. You can either go to jazzhousekids.org or montclairjazzfestival.org and get all the info. All day.
That'll do it again for this very special edition of the Bass Report. Reporting live here in downtown Harlem at the Adam Clayton Powell State Office Building here on 125th Street here in Harlem. I'd like to personally congratulate and thank the talented Christian McBride and the members of his big band. Also, please support Christian's upcoming big band project, which will be released on Mack Avenue Records sometime next year, as well as his other 3 projects that he's won Grammys for on MackAvenueRecords.com. Follow him on social media by way of Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, I'd like to give some mad shout outs and thank yous to some very important people that made this possible for the Bass Report this year. Miss Robin Bell Stevens and her staff at Jazzmobile, thank you guys for your warm hospitality and your assistance. Carolyn McClare for Carolyn McClare Public Relations for arranging all of these events for me and press coverage. As well as I want to thank the staff and management at Summer Parks and Summerstage for their fantastic involvement in presenting these concerts, not just for this past 2 weeks, but also throughout the whole entire summer. You guys did a fantastic job. As always, people, I can't stress this more than enough. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos here on YouTube and Vimeo, and leave comments, as well as follow me on social media by way of Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.